Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, F.P. Santalangelo Jr., Russell Jackman, and hopefully Vern Glenn will join us in the next segment if he doesn't join us in the next 2 minutes. He's got a 2-minute warning right now, so maybe he'll show up. All right, at each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today is NFL players. Figured, you know what, we're still in NFL season, so let's talk a little football.
We will be for the next 2.5 months, so it's not
right.
as if.
That's right. So we'll have to, and then we still have some NBA going on too. So, in fact, that's one of the things I want to talk about in the show is the NBA players returning from COVID sooner under a new policy. Thought that was kind of interesting. Since this is January 1st, we thought it'd be kind of fun to check out some highlights of 2021 in sports. Also, a little topic here of the National Women's Soccer League players are calling for free agency. Want to see if you guys know how much they make. And David Mills, the Texans quarterback. What does that mean for Deshaun Watson saga? All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments currently yielding over 6%, secured by real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. All right. So again, when we come back, we're going to talk about the highlights in 2021. And I want to get your guys' take on the NBA COVID policy changing. Personally, I think it's all about the money. Show me the money. Remember? Okay.
That is what this show's about.
That's what it is. The economics of sports. All right. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Money. So God, man, I am just losing it this morning. Oh, okay. If you
want me to host?
Yeah, I know. I just, I don't know. I had my coffee, but that was a while ago. All right, stay tuned. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're very friendly around here. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with F.P. Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Apparently, Mr. Vern Glenn is on vacation. Lucky guy. All right, guys. First of all, small thing here. I shouldn't say small. That's not fair. National Women's Soccer League players are calling for free agency. A majority of the players earn less than a living wage, with about 1/3 making, guess how much?
$15,000.
I'd say 25.
Boy, you guys are pretty darn close, right in between. 22,000 a year. That's pretty tough. And the thing is, what I don't know is, do they play? Does the same sort of situation with practice and is it a quote a full-time job?
I guess how many hours, and how many games? If you ask me how many games women's soccer plays per year, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Then I don't know how many hours they practice, and then what for how long their season is. But it's kind of nice for them to kind of get together and say, hey, you know what, the guys are getting free agency status. Let's kind of move in that direction.
Honestly, I'm shocked that a sports league doesn't have free agency in the year 2021. That's absolutely incredible to me. And the fact that they're being paid less than almost minor league baseball players is insane too. So hopefully they get it resolved soon. If not, go on a strike. Usually works out pretty well.
That's true. I mean, it all comes down to the money side of things. If you're going to get a lot of fans and if you're going to get a lot of sponsorships and television, I mean, that's what's really going to drive it. I don't think it's a man-woman thing versus just a talent, right?
Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to sponsorships. It comes down to your ratings. I know on the side of NBC where I work at, it comes down to we look at the ratings, we look at how many unique individual clicks we get, all these different things come into factor. So that way we can go to a brand like Toyota, for example, who's a huge sponsor for NBC and our shows. And we go, hey, this is how many viewers you're going to get in this specific area. And then you can pay us this. And then we get to pay more expensive talent. We get to get guys like Joe Staley on the 49ers pre and post game show. And that's kind of how things facilitate. That's the exact same thing how it goes in sports leagues.
Yeah.
So you got to drive the ratings up. You got to find a way to get the ratings up. You get more revenue, and that's how that goes. That's kind of like the business side of things.
Yep.
Maybe they're just not generating enough revenue, which is unfortunate, but those women sacrifice a lot in their lives to become professional top elite athletes. So
Oh yeah,
they get compensated for it, and hopefully they start having better, I guess, investments into marketing to drive up those ratings. I mean, that's on the league at that point.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what the injury status is for a lot of the women, but you got to figure a lot of them are going to get hurt just like the guys, and that's going to limit their career.
Yep.
Okay. The NBA players can return from COVID sooner under a new policy. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so apparently yesterday the CDC came out and said the 10 days that it takes usually to get rid of COVID is going to only takes 5 days with the Omicron variant. They just announced this yesterday, and in coordinates with CDC, which all these policies are, it's basically a legal guideline for a lot of these organizations, including your organization at work to operate under, was just stated yesterday in a press release. So now 5 days it only takes to get rid of this Omicron variant. It's a weaker variant. We've been talking about it since last week. And now in coordinates, the NBA, the NHL, and the NFL are going to make their policies a little less strict, which is good. This is good news. So that means we're going to see a lot less of the Monday Night Football game. I don't know if you watched the Saints versus the Miami Dolphins, but 22 players on the Saints were out with COVID, and it was a disaster. Yeah. And I can say Ian Book from Notre Dame and from Oak Ridge High School, the high school that I went to, had no chance with his practice squad O-line, and it was really, really sad just to see what an NFL team can do to a practice squad, essentially. So I don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. We want to see the best play. That's why we're spending our really, 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 important time to watch these games. Yeah. And just spend an afternoon with their family. And we don't want to watch a product like that. We'll just turn it off and watch something else.
Yeah, just watch the highlights or lowlights. Yeah, it's funny because you watch a basketball game on TV and you see all the players. Obviously, they can't wear masks because can't breathe through it. And then you look at the bench, and some guys are wearing, some guys aren't. Now, like Chase Center is one of those places where everybody has to be vaccinated in order to get in. So what's the deal with the mask? I mean, you see some of the coaches, they'll have the mask off. Some of them will have it just covering their mouth, not their nose. It's sort of like, come on, either do it right or don't. You know what I mean? It's like, just get rid of the whole thing and just play on.
Absolutely. I think it has to do right now with just how hypersensitive right now Omicron is. It's spreading like crazy, and it can knock you out for 5 days now. And 5 days in the sports world is an eternity. I mean, that's 5 days with no workouts. That's 5 days of no game planning with your players. That's 5 days of very important things. And previously it was 10 days. So maybe it's a little bit of a false hustle thing with the mask, trying not to spread it, yada, yada, yada. But
okay, but the 5 day that's not like literally how long someone's going to be sick. That's just the protocol of an incubation type of situation, right?
Yeah, and it's a suggestion too, because they said even the CDC, if you're having symptoms even 5 days after, you should probably still stay at home. So
yeah, I mean, I just wonder, there was the famous Michael Jordan game where he played with the flu. And I mean, he did fantastic. I can't remember if he scored like 63 points or 36 points. I mean, he was just awesome in that game, and he was sick. And yet nobody thought to say, hey, if you're sick, you shouldn't get the rest of us sick. It might be, hey,
that was the old days. That was the old days where you had to go to work when you were sick and nobody thought twice about it. I think, over the years, people are going to look back and go, wow, you really went to work when you were sick and you didn't care about infecting everybody?
No, that I really can't appreciate, because again, if someone is sick and they're around me, I go, hey, whoa, wait a minute. If you know you're sick, kind of stay away. I guess with Michael Jordan, it kind of is like, hey, listen, sick or not, we need to win this game. And,
I think what we'll see with Omicron, and actually, funny enough, I did some research on this. Only one person in the entire U.S. has died of the Omicron variant, and he was unvaccinated. So with the Omicron being a lot weaker, it spreads a lot faster. I think we're going to see a lot more relaxed policies, not only in the workplace, but in your sports leagues too. So you're going to see a lot of starting to come back to normal life. A whole bunch of different things, just because this Omicron variant just isn't as big as the original COVID variant that was killing a lot of people.
Yeah, maybe the herd
Yeah.
immunity, right, would just kind of like, let's just let everybody get it, go through it, and then move on. Of course, it might get a new variant, which will,
Yeah, that's the thing. You might get a new variant, but this variant right now is very, very weak. Fortunately for all of us, it's not the
Yeah.
bubonic plague.
yeah. I'm not sure what the symptoms like. I mean, is it people they're getting it, and is it just like quote the regular flu from the standpoint of, 2 days of rest and you're back to normal?
No, the regular flu for me was always having a bedpan next to me and I couldn't eat for like 7 days. That's what a normal flu is for me.
Okay.
But what I heard, it's just milder COVID symptoms. It's not as much coughing. It doesn't affect your lungs as much. And it's weird. It takes away your appetite for about 10 days, I heard. That's the difference in this one.
I hope I get it then. I need to lose a little bit of weight there,
Sure.
Okay. All right, guys. We're going to go to our first trivia question. The theme is NFL players. All right. Which New Jersey Generals running back set a pro football record when he rushed for 2,411 yards in 1985, then was a Dallas Cowboy the following season? All right. Now, New Jersey Generals, you're talking about the USFL, right? Remember that?
Mhm.
That was when old Donald Trump owned.
You're asking someone that's in his 20s if he remembers the USFL.
Well, I'm sure he's heard of the USFL.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I mean, yeah, that's where Steve Young started, and then he went to Tampa Bay, and then went to the 49ers.
Yep.
Listen, we're not going back to Red Grange and the Galloping Ghost from the 1920s.
Hey, I was watching some sports documentaries this week with my family. So the All Madden was incredible. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
No,
please.
I got to check that out. All right. That's our trivia question. Again, which New Jersey Generals running back set a pro football record when he rushed for 2,411 yards in 1985, then was a Dallas Cowboy the following season? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Trivia question number 1. Which New Jersey Generals running back set a pro football record when he rushed for 2,411 yards in 1985, then was a Dallas Cowboy the following season?
I got nothing.
I'll go with Herschel Walker.
That is correct. Herschel Walker. Yeah, very good, Russell. Yeah.
Yes.
In fact,
And then he was part of the most lopsided trade in NFL history, I believe.
That's right. I'm trying to remember who he was traded for.
I think the Vikings did something and traded like 9 picks away for him or something like that.
And it still
crazy.
worked in Dallas's favor.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
So continue on with our wonderful agenda.
All right. Wonderful agenda number 3. David Mills looking good as Texans quarterback. What does that mean for the Deshaun Watson saga?
Yeah, I saw that he's actually the only rookie quarterback that's thrown for 3 300-yard games, and the rest of all the QB quarterbacks selected in last year's draft only have 4 300 games combined. So this guy is secretly just doing very, very good. He's figuring it out, and hopefully that he's going to get a shine. Hopefully not against the 49ers though this weekend while we do the 49ers pre- and post-game show over at NBC, because we don't want to have too good of a game.
And look who joined us, Mr.
Speaking of the 49ers pregame, postgame show.
I know. Bert, we were just speaking about how you're on vacation. I saw your Twitter post.
Yeah. This is day 3 of vacation. Yeah.
I thought you were in Europe. It's funny. I thought you were in Europe or something because you posted something at like 12 o'clock last night about some deer on your property, reindeer, it looked like. Santa.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah, we spent yesterday in Point Reyes, and we're just driving around right by the coastline, and then this Thule elk is just there's just herds of them.
Whoa!
They look just like reindeer. So as kind of a joke, I was like, "Oh, Santa's reindeer. I guess they're on vacation."
You know what? My mom actually got run over by a reindeer one time.
Really?
Typical. Yeah, she was in the backyard, and some deer just trounced and just knocked her over. And it was
wow.
So she had, Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah, woof. And lived to tell about it.
And lived to tell about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were just talking about the Deshaun Watson saga with David Mills. Maybe coming up the back here and sliding right in.
I didn't see that coming. I don't know about you, FB, but I didn't see the Texans coming in and just lowering the boom on a really good football team the way they did. And Davis Mills, I'll give him credit. I mean, he really never showed me anything when he was at Stanford, but something happened, and the planets were aligned just right last Sunday, and so now. The 49ers, they got a little something to think about. But the 49ers, they first of all, I don't know if you guys talked about it, but they were huge Miami Dolphin fans on Monday night. Mm-hmm. And so they got what they wanted in the Saints losing. So their playoff strength increased from 69 to like 76% to make the playoffs. Now they just have to, now that they can kind of control their own destiny, now they just have to just keep winning. So this game against the Texans is monumental.
So per Matt Mayoko, the most direct path to the playoff for the 49ers is a win over Houston and then a Saints loss. And then the 49ers are automatically in. So it's good news for the 49ers. But let's get back to Houston. Yeah. Davis Mills being the best QB in this draft and maybe ends up being the best QB would be just an amazing storyline down the road. And I don't think it's getting a lot of play just because the Texans team is just not fun to watch. They're not very good. Yeah. And there's something to say, too, about having no pressure as a quarterback. Like maybe Davis Mills knows he doesn't have to perform at a high level because they're supposed to be bad. With Trevor Lawrence, you had Urban Meyer there, and you had expectations with Urban Meyer, and you had a lot of media coverage. No one's even paying attention to the Texans, and maybe that's making him loose. Maybe he's learning at a faster pace because of that, because he can play relaxed football. So these are all things that we don't really consider, but it's like we're seeing it happen right in front of us, and now he's becoming this young stud. And, it's going to be interesting to see him, what he does with, such an aggressive D-line like the 49ers have, and having Nick Bosa bear down on him for, I don't know, 2 hours? And we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, speaking of the 49ers, so Garoppolo has some injuries going on.
The thumb.
Yeah, the thumb. When did that happen?
It happened in the second quarter. He was sacked by D'Amico Autry, and as he was sacked, his thumb bent in a direction that it's not supposed to bend. And the big question is, when did Shanahan know?
Yeah.
And if he decided, well, we're just gonna just move forward and maybe try and run the football. That's what I would like to know. I mean, at halftime, if he's in there going, well, geez, I can't really grip the football all that great, because
it was like a tale of two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The first quarter,
first throw of the second half, it's an interception.
Yeah.
And then the overthrow to Kyle Juszczyk, Shanahan said that he thought that the thumb was a factor there, but he was just not it explains a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it also, Brett, begs the question, is Shanahan that afraid of putting in Trey Lance? I mean, why do you have a backup quarterback if you're too afraid to put him in when you know your quarterback is injured?
Yeah.
And it's
because Kyle Shanahan is a veteran first guy.
No, you know what? I can't stand that though.
I agree.
Go with the guys who brung you. Well, if a guy is injured and he's showing that he's injured, I mean, who are you going to go down in a flame just because you got to go with the guys who brought you here?
Sometimes
look, it's one thing if you've got C.J. Beathard back there, and then you really don't have, or Nick Mullins, and you're too afraid to put those guys in because they really suck. But you just spent the 3rd overall draft pick on a guy he's had all season to learn this role, and to not play him in a critical game is I think Shanahan's fault, certainly not on Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Well, something, Russ? You know what? We'll never know.
Yeah,
we will never know exactly what happened in the decision-making process. It stops with Kyle Shanahan, but again, I don't know what's going on with Trey Lance. We don't. Maybe Trey didn't have a grip of the game plan that they put in against the Texans. All we can do is speculate as to why Lance wasn't playing that second half, but I know it was a game. We all know it was a game that they had to win. They had to win that game. And
They had to. Go ahead, FP.
So I was just going to say, maybe Garoppolo is hiding his injury. That's pretty common among NFL players. They hide injuries because they don't want to get taken out. They got a competitive edge to them. You know, there's a reason why they're NFL athletes. They're elite of the elite. They want to play. You don't want to get taken out. The other thing, too, is an interesting quote from Kyle Shanahan saying that Trey Lance the past 3 months or so had very inconsistent practices.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to save it a little bit, saying, like all players do, right? But to me, that was kind of coach speak for, listen, this guy's just not ready. But then he followed up saying this past month, though, he's had the most consistent practices. And it was the first time he's had 4 weeks of practices in a row because of some injury that come up or this or that. So that was pretty interesting to me. That kind of tells me that Kyle Shanahan was slightly telling the media, like, Trey Lance just isn't ready yet. He's not there. And that's fine. I mean, personally,
I'd rather play a guy who wasn't ready. I'd rather play a guy who wasn't ready than a guy who's injured. I don't know what universe
to Brandon Ayuk was like, who's he throwing to? Even Brandon was kind of looking like, who you know what?
I'm telling you, I've been in those situations, at least in college, playing college baseball, where a coach looks you in the eye. He's like, "Are you hurt? Like, what's going on? What's going on? You look like you're hurt." And then you go, "No, coach, I'm fine." And then he's like, "You sure?" "No, coach, I'm fine." And then you lie to your coach because you want to help your boys win. So.
But that's the thing is, I guess, you know, and again, I've never played college sports, but I'm thinking if I'm just like a little tiny bit hurt and I think I can still perform well, that I gotta get. But if you are really like, I can't really do this, but I'm gonna do, but I got to take one for the team. I mean, that's going to be worse. I mean, your coach is going to be more pissed off at you.
But you know what? Maybe he really thought he could. When he got hurt in a money game, sometimes that adrenaline just kind of takes over, and you just fight through the pain, and you're just convinced that you can execute the game plan. And
it's the job of the coach to be able to judge that and to say, you know what? Even if you think you're okay, I'm watching you on the field, and I know you're not okay. You know, after that second interception. That should have been it for Garoppolo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know what, Russ? What we don't have in common with Kyle Shanahan is we are not the head coach of an NFL team that was expected to go deep into the playoffs, and you've got all that pressure. This is Russ. This is your 5th year as an NFL coach. You've been to 1 Super Bowl. You did not win it. Now this is supposed to be the year that, okay, you got the band back together defensively, and you're sitting there at 8-7. So it's just, we just don't have that kind of pressure, and I think a lot of it factors into the decisions he makes.
That's true. Okay, guys, we're going to get to our second commercial break here. It's getting hot and heated here at Sports Econ 101. Okay, our trivia themes: NFL players. This 4-time Eagle Pro Bowl quarterback had a leg as strong as his arm. In 1989, against the Giants, he booted a 91-yard punt from his own end zone. In 1990, his only punt of the season resulted in 80 yards. Who was this quarterback? All right, that's our trivia question. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Russell Jackman, and Vern Glenn joined us. All right.
Full house.
Woohoo! Full house, exactly. Okay, trivia question number 2. This 4-time Eagle Pro Bowl quarterback had a leg, excuse me, as strong as his arm. In 1989, against the Giants, he booted a 91-yard punt from his own end zone. In 1990, his only punt of the season resulted in 80 yards. Who was this quarterback?
Randall Cunningham.
I was going to say Randall Cunningham as well.
You guys are correct. I think, isn't it Sammy Baugh who still has the record, like a 98-yard punt?
That's ridiculous.
I know. Yeah.
Slinging Sammy Baugh.
And I think the ball was a little different. Probably was easier because I don't think it was quite as pointed. So Randall probably
it was more kind of
rugby type.
It was more like a pregnant football.
Yeah.
It was a little wider.
That's a good way of putting it. Okay, guys, you know what? Since this is January 1st of 2022, let's talk about the highlights from 2021. So first of all, in the NBA, got to talk about Curry with his 3-point record, and then also the Bucks winning the championship first time in 50 years, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when Lou Alcindor was with them.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
What
think
else?
more amazing than the Curry 3-point record is the performance of the Warriors this year and how they're the #1 team in the league right now.
Good point. And I like that kid, Kuminga. Oh,
Yeah.
Jonathan
Kuminga? Yeah, there's upside to him.
Kuminga is nice, but Gary Payton II is the untold story of 2021.
That's a guy that's bounced around the NBA for the last 5 years and has been unable to lock on with a team. Even Steve Kerr said if this was last year, he might have made that team because of the makeup of it. But this year,
and remember the Warriors decided to keep him on the last day of the preseason and cut Avery Bradley, who was picked up by the Lakers, and everyone on the Warriors was upset that we did that and that we didn't keep Avery Bradley. And now look at Avery Bradley and look at Gary Payton II and tell me which one was the better keep.
Yeah. Steph Curry says, hey man, he's the biggest 6'3" guard that
What a
I've
quote.
seen.
What a
He
quote.
plays big.
Yeah. Well, he's got no fear. I love that. I love a guy who comes in there and just
And the
bangs
fans
around.
love him. That he is such a fan favorite right now. In fact, the Warriors bench right now is their best bench in Golden State Warrior history. I'm willing to go on record saying that. I think every single player, 1 through 15 right now, is pulling their weight and showing that why this team is the #1 team in the league. They don't have a weak spot on the roster.
It certainly is the strongest and deepest bench that they've had in years, and that includes the championship years. I mean,
Yes.
Otto Porter Jr. Hello, just shows
Fun
up.
money.
It really shows has a strong fourth quarter, has 19 points, a season high, and he just looked at the Suns bench every time he made a shot. Just went, hey.
Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
And he's not even playing. And we have other guys coming in and stepping in. We even got this kid Weatherspoon that I'd never heard of.
Yeah, they haven't even seen a kid, Klay Thompson.
I was going to say, Klay hasn't
played with the team yet.
Up yet.
And Wiseman still has yet to come back in.
Yeah.
This team is going to have an abundance and an embarrassment of riches, and that's going to take them to another title.
Speaking of embarrassment of riches, and I every day I wonder this, if the Bay Area truly appreciates what we have. I mean, we've got the 3-point king, the home run king, the stolen base king, the touchdown, all-time touchdown king, just all right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for football, okay, Brady coming, with the Bucks and winning the Super Bowl. What else in football do you think has been a big highlight?
I think the fact, on the subject of Tom Brady, that he kind of wanted to garner some interest from the 49ers and coming to play for the 49ers before he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All this is starting to come out now. And then and the Niners are like, yeah, no, we're good. Brady want to come back and play for us.
Also, I think another big story of this year is the tug of war of the popularity of Aaron Rodgers, who
good point.
Demanded to be traded in the offseason, was MVP, then demanded to be traded, then has the whole corona fake. I thought I said I was immunized when I wasn't, lied to everybody, and now he's back to gets a slap on the wrist, and now he's back to being Mr. Popular again. Not
only Mr. Popular, he's got a Green Bay Packers team that's #1 in the NFC, and then and he's just like thumbing his nose to the Green Bay Packer administration, just going, hey, this is what you're gonna be missing. Hello, without me, you got nothing. With me.
So I have to ask you guys, what is the one moment that you'll remember for the rest of your life? When I say, hey, in 2021, what was the sports moment for you? What was the one thing that you remember?
Win number 107.
For the Giants?
For the Giants.
The San Francisco Giants, yep.
Unfortunately, it's still got to be this stupid COVID thing,
I was gonna say that too, I think, or the check swing from Wilmer Flores. I don't think fans realize yet, at least in all of sports, how much that's going to impact the Bay Area, especially if the Giants don't do anything next year. Like that's
Right.
gonna be one of those
How
like
are they not
Seattle
going to do
Seahawks
anything
things.
next year?
Well,
How
they're
is
not
that
going to win
possible?
107 games. They're not going to come
Yeah,
on.
They
I'm
don't
just
need to.
saying.
They don't
I'm just saying
need
like
to.
a what if situation. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of
The
people are
Giants
gonna
have
circle that.
have their future in spades right in front of them. Yes, we don't have Buster Posey anymore, but my gosh, the team still has incredible youth. Farhan is going to add even more power to this team in the offseason when we have one. And
Yeah, I was just saying a hypothetical. I don't really believe that. I'm with you, Russ. But I'm just saying like that's one of the moments I remember. I'll probably think of COVID. I'll think of the sports teams that won, the Braves, the Buccaneers, the other Bucks, Milwaukee
Yeah.
Bucks. So 2 Bucks teams and a
yeah, the Pirates could make it a triple threat.
yeah,
The Pirates had won.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
Bucks and the Bucks.
But I want to hear what you guys have to say. What was the one moment? I know you just said Russ, game 107. Vern, what do you have?
Winning the West, game 107, the check swing, the Curry 3-point check, the Warriors coming back from the dead, so to speak.
Yeah.
All those things, and COVID and how it's impacted all of us and impacted my business and how we do things day to day.
Oh yeah.
That's something that I will never forget.
And
What
then
about
Edward.
Buster Posey's retirement?
Yeah, again, for me, the stupid COVID thing is kind of just, people I think in general are going to remember that. I tell you, the one thing that's been kind of beneficial for me though is, having the kids at home for a while, which was awesome. And then even doing the show before, I'd have to have guys in the studio here, and not everyone could travel. I think I told you guys I was teasing Brent Jones one time when I thought he was close by for some reason, and he was going to be on the show, and then turns out he says, well, I live in Texas now. I said, gee, I didn't know that, but I said, so get on a plane and come here for your 1-hour interview. Yeah, to get sense of humor, but doing this thing through Zoom, I mean, it's the same. It's just like when you see on ESPN and they have the different panels of people. It's the exact same thing. So
yeah, it's pretty incredible from our standpoint. I know we got to go soon, Edward. People don't realize we have in-house trucks now, and that's forever. So before, a production truck would actually be at the stadium and the broadcast team would be at the stadium, but now that's going to be gone forever. The amount of money that companies are saving is almost too nice to ignore now, and they want to keep that income, and they don't want to travel broadcasters and things. And I think that's unfortunate because the broadcasters just don't feel the same emotion from the crowd, and they don't really harness the synergy of the atmosphere of the arena. So I think it's really taken a hit on broadcasting personally. And that's something I think that's just kind of going to be a forever thing. But there's a lot of positives and negatives that have changed our industry and the product on the field and the way that you're perceiving the product. So hopefully things get back to relatively more normal as time goes on and we start sending broadcasters out. But that's another thing that I'll remember. This is when broadcasting changed forever.
Well, definitely watching basketball games, when there's no fans, there's something that just is missing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know at NBC, and I probably shouldn't speak on this, we just don't bring fan mics when we go away. So we do the world feed, but you can't hear the fans of the opposing crowd when the Warriors travel, just because we don't bring mics, we don't bring a crew. So you can't even hear the opposing fans. You only hear somebody that's in a studio 100 miles away, 300, 400 miles away. So
gotcha. Well, with the technology the way it is, and I could see that the companies want to save money, and you don't have to worry about trucks breaking down and travel and all the craziness, flights being canceled or whatever. It really is hard for them to give that up. They're able to be so efficient in doing what they're doing.
You just think about the hotel stay for everybody in the truck. You got to think about food. Usually there's some sort of compensatory pay for food for every day. All these different things. Yeah. It's just they're saving so much money.
Vern, are you doing as much traveling as you usually would?
No, in fact, we did travel for the NLDS, but that was only because it was the Dodgers,
and it was
the Giants played the Cardinals. We wouldn't have traveled to St. Louis for the out of town games, but because LA was just so cheap in our flight, we were able to get down there and able to cover it. And so I really kind of appreciated being able to take the shows on the road and put our viewers there, standing in Chavez Ravine at the Dodgers for that series. So I really do appreciate that. But that's something, traveling is something we had not done since COVID began.
Are you telling me they don't have a private jet for you, just for you?
I'm sure there's a CBS jet. I just never get a chance to be on it.
Oh,
I think for Vern, they might have a catapult or a slingshot.
yeah.
They might,
Right.
have it get on it.
If you have a chance to do a helicopter, you guys ever been in a helicopter?
I have, yes.
No.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. I love that, the way that just kind of slowly kind of just increases like this, and the
You
way
really,
on my bucket list item.
more than a plane, you really feel you really feel like you are flying.
yeah.
How you just levitate, and then you take off in that thing.
A few years ago, we did Kauai, where the four of us were with the pilot, and my son and I were in the back seat. And even though Kauai is 80 degrees or something, being in the back seat of a helicopter when you're up there, it was freezing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they told us to dress warm, and I thought, but I fortunately did bring a jacket. I could not believe how cold it was, just because of the way the wind comes. Because there's, all the windows are down. You just kind of look out, and there you are. All right, guys, you ready to? This is our last trivia question. Good show today, guys. Okay. Here's the question. I had the honor of being chosen first in the 1975 draft. Talking to NFL players here. After a few subpar seasons, I made my name in 1980 with the Falcons, throwing 31 TDs and leading Atlanta to a 12-4 record. In 1981, I threw 30 more TDs. Then I led the league in passing in 1985. 1986 was my last season due to nagging injuries. Who am I?
Okay.
That's our trivia question. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question. I had the honor of being chosen first in the 1975 draft. After a few subpar seasons, I made my name in 1980 with the Falcons, throwing 31 TDs and leading Atlanta to a 12-4 record. In 1981, I threw 30 more. Then I led the league in passing in 1985. 1986 was my last season due to nagging injuries. Who am I?
Was it Steve Bartkowski?
It was Steve Bartkowski.
Now here's the follow-up question. Who was Steve Bartkowski's agent?
Hold on. That was our friend Steve.
Lee Steinberg.
Lee Steinberg was that one.
Lee
Okay, I was thinking of Steve Baker.
Steve Bartkowski was Lee Steinberg's first client. They both went to Cal, and
that's right.
He was able to convince Steve Bartkowski, "Hey, sign with me, and let's do this together." And then that's where the legend of Lee Steinberg began, with Steve Bartkowski.
Very cool. I like it. Okay, you guys ready for our thoughts for the day?
Go.
So the mechanic asked me if I ever rotated my tires, and I thought, how does he think I got here?
Very good.
You like that? And Russ, you'll like this one. What's a lawyer's favorite drink?
Let's see.
I'm just gonna have to tell you, a subpoena colada.
Very good.
You like that? I thought you guys would like that. All right.
And the PS to that, I got a box of dad jokes for Christmas.
I remember. I know you got to share some of those with me. Yeah. All right, guys and audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
Adios.